Hello friends, welcome to today's Python programming and data science class. And in this class we will see the function parameters and what are the different types of parameters there, that is actual parameter and formal parameter. After that we will see some example programs for explaining these parameters. Now let us see the actual and formal parameter. So before that we will learn what is parameters. Okay, parameters are used to pass values in and out of the functions. So for calling any function, sometimes we need to pass values to the function through the parameters only. Right? Here a parameter is a variable, a collection of variables otherwise, okay, which are listed inside the parenthesis. Okay, variables are listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition, which is called as actual parameter. Okay, so this is the function definition. Inside the function definition, within parenthesis we are having a list of variables, and these are called as actual parameters, right? And next one, the argument. Okay, what is an argument? It is a value that is sent to the function with when it is called. Okay, when we call the function, we need to send values to that function, and those are called as formal parameters. Okay, so here we are going to call this particular function by passing the values. Okay, number 1 value is 100 and number 2 value is 200. So by these two values we are going to call this particular function, isn't it? So these parameters are called as formal parameter, which is otherwise called as arguments. Okay, so these are called as parameters and arguments. So parameters are called as actual parameter and arguments are called as formal parameters, right? And now let us see one example for explaining passing parameters to the functions. Okay, now I am going to add two numbers. Add two numbers. So by using this function, I am going to add two numbers. So with this simple example, I am going to explain function without parameters without return value, a function with parameter without return value, a function without parameter with return value, and the last one is function with parameter with return value. So I am going to use a simple same example for explaining all these things so that you can easily understand the passing of parameter and a return value from the function, right? So this is our first example. Okay, function without parameter without return value, right? Okay, here this is my function. The function name is calc. Okay, so how I am going to declare this function? By using the def keyword, def followed by calc. Calc is the function name followed by arguments, isn't it? So here I am not using any parameter. So without parameter I am going to call this particular function. So there is no parameters here, and followed by colon. Okay, so this is the header line of this function. Header of this function. Okay, and these are all blocks. Block of code. Okay, so in the block of code I am having number 1, the value is 10, and number 2 the value is 20, and number 3 which is having the sum of n1 and n2, that is number 1 and number 2. After that I am going to print the sum value, that is n3. What is the value of n3? The sum of n1 and n2, right? After that I will return without any value. Okay, so return without any value, right? So inside the main program I am having only this function. Okay, simply I am going to call this particular function, that's it. I didn't do anything here. Calc is the function name followed by no arguments. No arguments. Okay, now let us see what is the output of this particular program. Okay, what is the output? So I am going to call only this particular function calc and this will return 30. Sum equal to 30. Okay. So when I call this particular function, the control will goes here. Okay. Then the values will be assigned to the variable 1 and variable 2 and sum will be computed and the particular result will be displayed here. So this is our output. And when come to variable explorer, in the main program we don't have any variable, so no variable will be declared here. No variable will be declared here. Okay, so there is no global variable. In the next video, I will explain what is global variable and what is local variable. Okay. Next, let us move to the next example. And this is the second example, that is with the parameters and without return value. That is the function with the parameters without return value, right? And this is our main program and this is our function. Okay, in the main program, I am having two variables, number 1 and number 2. The values are 100 and 200 respectively. And the calc program, that is the calc function, is being called by the arguments number 1 and number 2. What are the values? This is 100 and this is 200. Okay. So we are going to call the function with these parameters. Right. Okay. After that, the control will comes to here. This is our function. And n1 and n2 are the parameters, and the values of n1 is 100 and the value of n2 is 200, right? And n3 is the local variable for this function. And what is the value of n3 here? n3 is the sum of n1 and n2. After that, we are going to print the value sum is n2. Okay. And the function will return nothing. Okay, the function will not return any value to the main program and that's it. Okay, so this is our program. And suppose if we run this program, what will be the output? Okay, what is the output? If we call this function, the function will print the sum value. What is the sum? Sum is 300. That is 100 plus 200. So that is the value 300. Okay. And when come to variable explorer, in the main program we are having two variables, number 1 and number 2. Okay, so number 1 and number 2, two variables are there, and both two variables are integer in type and the corresponding value is also printed here. Okay, so this is the example for a function with parameters without return value, right? And this is the third example, and this example, the function without parameter with return value. Without parameter with return value. Okay. So in the main program, we are going to call this particular function by using the variable n3. Okay. n3 is the variable which is declared in the main program. Okay. What is the value of n3? Here the value will be come from the function. Which function? Calc function. Okay. So this is our calc function. In the calc function, we are having two local variables, that is n1 the value is 15 and n2 the value is 25. And another local variable is there, that is the sum of these two values, that is n1 and n2, that will be assigned to n3. And we will return the value n3 to the main program. Okay, how we are going to return? Return is a keyword followed by the variable. And now the variable value, that is n3 value, will be assigned to this number 3. Okay, do you understand this? What value will be assigned to this n3? So n3 value will be coming from the function calc. Okay, so the calc function will return some value and that value will be assigned to n3. So this is called as function with return value. Okay, So if a function return any value, that should be assigned to another variable in the main program. And now we are going to print this particular number 3, that is sum of this n1 and n2. Okay, so what is the output of this particular program? Sum equal to 40. Which is 40? That is 15 plus 25. n1 value is 15 and n2 value is 25, and the sum is 40. That is coming from the function. And that value will be assigned to the variable in the main program. Okay, so this is function with return value. This function will be returned a value, and that will be assigned to the variable in main program, right? So this is a very simple one. And next, so this is the fourth example, a function with parameter and with return value. A function with parameter and with return value. Okay, so this is our main program. In the main program we are having two variables. Number 1 is 200 and number 2 is 300. Okay, and this is another variable number 3. Number 3 value that will be come from the function calci. Okay, what are the arguments for this calci? First one is number 1 and second one is number 2. Okay, so with these two values we are going to call this particular function, and so this is our function. Definition: calci of n1 comma n2. Because here we are having only two variables, that particular two values should be here also. What is the value of n1? n1 value is 200 and n2 value is 300. Now this n3 is the local variable for this particular function, and what is the value of n3? The sum of n1 and n2. Okay, now we will return the n3 value to our main program, and this n3 will be assigned to our number 3. n3 is assigned to number 3. Okay, now we will print the value n3 by using the print statement. Right? Now we try to execute this particular program, and what is the output? See, in the console window we will see the output, the sum equal to 500. Okay, now let us see the variable explorer here. In the main program we are having three variables, isn't it? Number 1, what is the value of number 1? Number 1 is 200, number 2 is 300, and number 3 is 500. That is the sum of number 1 and number 2. And all these variables are integer in type. Okay, so this is a function with parameters and with return value, right? And up to this we have seen the parameter in the function. Okay, what are the different types of parameters are there? First one is actual parameter and formal parameter. After that we have seen some different examples for this parameter passing in a function, right? So in the next class we will see the local and global variables. So how the variables will be declared inside and outside the functions, all these things we will see in the next class. Thank you.